It was a tough start to the season for the North Central College football team as the Cardinals fell to the University of Wisconsin lacrosse 21-17 in a hard-fought battle. We recap the game and take a look at what lies ahead. The 2012 season of the Red Zone kicks off right now. Welcome to the 2012 season of the Red Zone. I'm Mark Dahlquist. With me to start things off is head coach of the Cardinals, John Thorne. Coach, thanks so much for joining us.
Well, I'm always happy to be here, Mark. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, and it was a tough loss this Saturday for the Cardinals as you guys fall to the Eagles in your season opener, 21-17. Had to be a tough way for you guys to sort of start the season.
Well, we finished our last 5 drives with a turnover, and I don't think in 50 years of being around football I've ever had that happen. You know, there's always something new out there that you've never been a part of before, and that was I felt really bad for the guys because they were really trying hard. They were playing hard, and just every bounce seemed to go against the guys for this whole ball game. You know, so hopefully this next week a couple of bounces are going to go towards the Cardinals.
Well, you got to be proud of you guys, though. Even though the ball really wasn't bouncing your way at all that game, it seemed like every drive they were still putting in 110% to try and get the Cardinals back into that end zone.
Well, we moved the ball very well. We had 25 first downs, and our defense held them to only 10. You know, usually that means you've won by 20, 30 points.
Nice margin.
And we had 400 yards of offense. They had barely 200. So, again, those are numbers that, you know, you look at those, you always would assume that it really wasn't that close of a game. So the 6 turnovers certainly make it awfully difficult to, you know, overcome.
Right. Well, the Cardinals fought hard to the end, but couldn't come out on top. In case you missed it, we got you covered. Let's go to the highlight. Wet and rainy conditions in Naperville as North Central gets set to kick off the 2012 football season. Cardinals coming in ranked number 6 in the nation by D3Football.com. Spencer Stanek back at the helm as the University of Wisconsin lacrosse makes the trip to Benedetti Worley Stadium. Working with the short field, Stanek hooks up with Peter Sorensen from 13 yards out, and the Cardinals get their first score of the season and a 7-0 lead. But when he goes back to the air, there's trouble he can't see in the form of Nick Berg coming from the blind side. Pigskin's on the turf, and it's scooped up by the Eagles' Brandon Heeg. He's off to the races. 57-yard return for the touchdown, and the two teams are knotted at 7 going into halftime. Cardinals come out fired up to start the third quarter. After a 3-and-out by the defense, Nick Kukoc takes the pitch on the Cardinals' second play, and he weaves through the Eagle D for a 47-yard score and put the Cardinals back on top 14-7. Lacrosse gets even 2 possessions later when Jared Stan finds the hole in the Cardinal D, and he turns on the Jets down the sideline for a 54-yard scamper to tie things back up at 14. A Nick Dace field goal gives the Cardinals a 3-point advantage, but Jacob Fiegner jumps the pass from Stanek to Chad O'Kane, and a slew of blockers escort him to the end zone, and the Eagles take their first lead of the game at 21-17. Now with under 2 minutes to go, Stanek back to pass, fires, but it hits a lineman's helmet, and the bounce is just not going the Cardinals' way this day, and North Central falls at home for the first time in the regular season since 2007. So, Coach, like you said, you guys outgained them yardage-wise. It was a stellar defensive effort, but really turnovers can really make or break a game, it seems like.
Well, you know, they can, but our special teams unit had a chance to get us right back in the ball game, and we had a couple penalties there that took away great punt returns. It was really sad to see that, you know. And defensively, really we had just so many terrific plays by the guys. They understood what they were doing. They were getting things done. And then one play, we had 5 mistakes on the same play. So it took 5 mistakes to have one big play against us. But that's all it took for them to have enough points when we gave them, you know, 2 touchdowns with turnovers. We've got a lot of work to do. We were very, very beat up in camp before we ever got to the game.
Right.
Many of our starters missed several days of practice. And you could see those missed practices in our lack of execution. Really, on both sides of the ball, we had some very significant injuries. And unfortunately, many of them were right at the line of scrimmage, where every play starts. You know,
that's
if
where
you
the battle is, right
there.
there.
Yeah, right. If you make a mistake, right, the first guys that bump into each other, it makes it a lot harder for the play to work.
Sort of the real football players, as you like to call them, right?
That's right. That's right. And they gave us a great effort. But we just, our play timing, our technique, some of those things looked really rusty, you know, which everything can be fixed, and hopefully we can get it fixed quickly, because Redlands is a very good football team.
And have you guys had that, you know, that game circled on the calendar since last year? You guys traveled there and you dropped the opener, but then you guys ran the table, so maybe is that a little bit of a confidence booster for this season, even though you got a tough road ahead?
Well, we've got some tough games, but I'd much rather play the best teams. You know, I would like to play Redlands every week, or Wheaton every week, or something like that. You know, so that's fine. That's going to just make us better. And if we can find a way to get through the conference season and still be on top, where we have a chance to go to the playoffs, all those tough games are going to make it far better for us to try and play teams that are in the playoffs.
Right.
So it's okay, but we're a little nervous coming into this week, because we're still trying to get more people healthy.
Right.
If that happens, it'll help a lot.
Right.
But definitely we need them healthy by the time we start conference.
Well, hopefully the health comes back around. Don't go anywhere, because we continue to break down the Cardinals with Coach Thorne right after this.
Yes, ready.
Oh, come on, Randy. Animal shelter, here I come. And no, I'm not crazy or emotionally damaged. That's a stereotype. I just belong to a total loser. I'm a good dog. So if you want a pet, adopt. And if you see Randy, tell him he dropped his wallet.
Welcome back to the Red Zone. With us still is head coach John Thorne. Coach, we were talking about the CCIW and the tough schedule you guys have ahead. This is probably one of the tougher non-conference schedules that the Cardinals have ever had.
I think it probably is the toughest one that North Central has ever tried. You know, to start a season off. Definitely the hardest one that we've ever had since I've been head coach, and so it's going to be quite a test. And, if we can get our depth tested during this time, it'll help a lot when we get to that first conference game with Elmhurst.
And does it make it a little bit more difficult for you with some of those guys on the sidelines that are, have those aches and pains? Do you want to try and rush them back for those tough games? Or are you trying to save them, for the conference run?
Right now, we're trying to be pretty cautious with several of them, so that we have a complete team for conference. And we're trying to just find ways to manipulate our way through 4 quarters and find a way to win.
And how do you, as a coaching staff, do you look to the senior leaders on this team or the captains to sort of pick up the guys on the sidelines after those turnovers, or after they drive, 80 yards down the field and then get nothing to show for it? How do you pick them up?
Well, with 5 in a row, I guess I really can't tell you, because I've never seen that any game I've ever watched, or any game I've ever coached, or any game I've ever played in. So it was very difficult. It was very difficult after the game. It was very difficult to start this week, and we do need seniors to step up and be positive leaders, which they're trying to do, but we need some of that to happen, right on the field when the coaches are on the sidelines and the bullets are flying and the battles raging all around them.
Right.
They have to feel that confidence when they're. Sometimes I wish we huddled more often instead of going no huddle,
Hurry up.
because sometimes in the huddle you can look in each other's eyes and you can see the confidence that and you don't want to make a mistake.
Well, it was a tough moment for the team after the final whistle, and it was a somber moment for the entire Cardinal Nation before kickoff as the college paid homage to 2 lost Cardinals during the offseason. We take a look at what they meant to the program in this week's Cardinal Corner. Before the captains met at midfield for the Cardinals' 2012 season opener, 2 fallen Cardinals were honored by all those in attendance. The rain hid the tears as the Cardinals honored former punter Sean Wild, who passed away after a tragic incident where he was protecting a friend at a Naperville nightclub last winter. A 2011 graduate, Sean's family and former roommate were on hand to receive a commemorative framed replica of a flag that will fly in the southeast corner of the stadium during the season. The Cardinals will also wear stickers bearing the number 36 on their helmets throughout the season to remember Sean. Another flag will be flying alongside his this year to honor life trustee to the college and 1948 graduate Al Benedetti. Benedetti's widow and children were on hand to receive a commemorative flag as well that will fly over a stadium that bears his name. The $6 million stadium was completed in 1999 after a devastating flood in 1996 left much of the athletic complex underwater. Thanks to generous donations and tireless efforts by Benedetti and lifelong friend Dick Worley, the stadium that stands today rose from the floodwaters and is now the staple of the athletic complex and football program.
Our philosophy was, for whatever we can, all the things we're getting from the town and this college and so forth, we always wanted to put something back. And that's what we did. We put back whenever we could.
Benedetti was a star on the Cardinals' 1946 and 1947 championship teams and played in the Corn Bowl his senior year. The players will sport a commemorative patch on their jerseys this year, bearing the number 29, the same number Benedetti wore while suiting up for the Cardinals. While Benedetti and Wild are no longer with the Cardinal family, their memories will always live on. So, Coach, what was Al Benedetti? What has he meant to this program, and why are the Cardinals where they are now because of him?
Well, the stadium has his name on it, and it'd be pretty hard to recruit anybody if we didn't have that stadium, because North Central's history in football was not very stellar. 11 years ago when we first came. So we needed everything. We needed audio equipment. We needed sleds. We needed uniforms. We needed a weight room. We needed everything. There was very, very few pieces were in place to allow the guys to have a chance to win conference championships like they've been doing lately. And he was always right there to help in those efforts. And so we're going to miss him a great deal. Plus, it was just so much fun to see him and talk to him and hear he and Dick Worley tell their stories back in the day when they played and everything. I'm sure they didn't embellish any of those. But
No, not at all. There's no embellishment with that. But you have another Cardinal fan that'll be around for this season. How hell will he sticking around? I think it's to root you guys on.
Right, I think it is. I think it is. And he's always wanted us to play the Wisconsin schools. So I really felt horrible that I didn't help our team manipulate through this first game, in honor of Al and Sean, and especially President Wilde too, because I know how much that football means to him, and how much he would like to see us compete with the teams out of Wisconsin, his home state.
Well, it's a long season, head coach, and I'm sure you guys will bounce back quickly. Thanks so much for joining us.
All right.
Keep it right here, because after the break, we'll sit down with 2 Cardinals hoping to lead the team back to the playoffs. The Red Zone will be right back.